Good news or bad news, we're all in this together. And if you think we're not, think again. Welcome to the JoAnn Pinkney Wilcox Show. Welcome to the JoAnn Pinkney Wilcox Show, and with me today I have two guests, Michelle Aiken Wilson, who is the published author of Anything Can Happen, as well as Evanya, who is the owner of 8 a.m. Public Relations. Hi. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for joining me today. And basically I want to start out, how did you two meet? Like, what is the relationship between the two of you?
Hey, well, first of all, we're related. We're cousins.
Okay.
I used to take care of her when she was small.
Okay. That's
and then she has done such a wonderful job. She's an attorney.
Okay.
And also she started a public relations firm right around the time that I published my book. So that was just perfect because it was somebody that I felt I could trust and that I felt would really push, because she had a vested interest in my book and everything that I had gone through.
That's good. See, it's always good to go and be with somebody who you know will represent you the right way.
And I knew that I would get the best services from her.
Yes, yeah. As far as you're concerned, obviously you believe in your cousin's book.
I do, and I knew most of the characters in the book,
Okay.
so I had a personal interest, like Michelle said, and then also I felt a connection to it. I felt that when I read it, like everybody really needed to hear this story, so I was passionate about this, almost as passionate as she was, and I really wanted the world to be able to read this and experience this book with her.
That's very good. That's excellent. So with the book, Anything Can Happen, if you can let us know what the book is about and what inspired you to write the book.
Okay, well, I reached a point in my life that I really encountered a lot of struggles. It started in 2002. I lost my father, and within a year I lost my mom. And 5 months after my mom died, my husband was killed in a car accident.
Oh my goodness.
And that was really devastating.
Yeah.
And it especially was devastating because we were experiencing some problems in our marriage, and I had found out about infidelity on his part. So we were really, really struggling. And it hurt that he died before we could really resolve everything that was going on in our marriage. That was really hard.
Yes.
A couple months after my husband died, my son was sent to Mosul, Iraq. He was in the Army Reserve.
Okay.
And he was sent to Mosul to serve one tour of duty. And he went and he made it home safely, which was a blessing because we all were going through so much with the death of my father, my mother, and my husband.
Yes.
During that time, my best friend, the person who I confided in the most, she had a terminal illness and she passed away. So it was like I just had death all around me. And that was really hard. But my son made it home and I felt that everything was going to be okay. And he moved about an hour and a half away from me. It was in Columbia, South Carolina. And he was murdered.
Oh my goodness.
And so during that time, I felt like the bottom had completely fallen
Yes.
out, that I'd just been touched from every angle. So I decided, once I got through to healing and then to wholeness in my life, I felt that writing the book was something that was therapy to me, and it also could be of help to others.
Oh yeah, most definitely. So like within a matter of 5 years, you had 5 people die.
Four. It was 4 years,
That's right.
and I
Your
had
parents and your
major
husband.
people, my parents and my spouse, my best friend who was like a sister, and
And then your
then
son.
my child.
Yes. Yes, that is devastating. You know, a
Yes.
lot of people, especially when the child goes.
Exactly.
You know, that's
And that
very
was the
right.
one that I really felt that the bottom had fallen out, because that goes against nature. Our children are supposed to bury us.
Yes.
So, that's when I really hit rock bottom.
I did definitely appreciate you coming on the show to share with our audience
Yes.
and also help them heal. You have a lot of people out there that's going through a whole lot of things as well, such as yourself. So reading your book, Anything Can Happen, definitely they'll be able to heal from it. If you can share with us more of what let's say the journey of healing.
Yes.
How did that take place?
And the title of my book is Anything Can Happen, but the subtitle is My Journey from Despair to Healing and then to Wholeness.
Very good.
And in my book, I describe each situation that I went through. But at the end of every chapter, I have lessons learned. And these are lessons that I learned as I was going through each phase of my life. There was something that happened in each one that I was able to use to build upon to make myself a stronger person. So my book really tells what I went through, but I just don't stop with the despair. I tell about how I went to healing, and healing was not enough. I had to really press on to get to wholeness in my life. And this book, Anything Can Happen, tells about that journey.
That's very good. So what you did basically is turn something that most of us will consider very, very negative into positive. You looked at each thing, the positive points of each thing, each time anything that happened to you.
Because I saw everything that happened in my life was really establishing my purpose.
Yes.
And I would love to share, and I am sharing that purpose with the world through my book.
That's very, very good. And you are a public speaker as well.
Yes, I am.
Like we mentioned. So basically, do you go to different types of functions?
Yes, I do women conferences, church events, just, anything. And I'm available to speak on grief, on the loss of a child. And also my caregiver role. I took care of my parents prior to their death. I was born right at the end of their childbearing ages, so they were a lot older. And I took care of them, my father, for about 12 years. And he died at the age of 88. So my book also tells about the caregiver role, because my generation has ended up taking care of our parents and also raising our children.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
So
which is good. Nowadays,
which is good.
a lot of times people don't look at it that way,
Yes,
So
yes.
I'm glad that your cousin sees it that way. She seems like
Yes.
she's a very good daughter and as well as a cousin. You babysat her a lot, so
Yes.
you helped raise her.
Yes.
So, so her mom and you and her dad. Can I say your dad as well?
Well, my father's actually deceased. He
Oh,
passed away
okay.
before I was born. But
Okay, yes, but you had very good role
very,
models.
very,
You
this
really
is the
did.
strongest woman I know.
Oh yeah, you have people that turn to alcohol and drugs, or
Exactly.
be committed, after things like that. But basically, let me ask you, what inspired you? Let's say, what kept you strong, as far as going through all the devastation that you went through?
Well, I had a wonderful support system. I had people that were really close to me that came to my aid. My sister, Gwen, who lives in New Orleans, when my son died, she took off work for almost 2 months, and she actually sat there and she made sure that I would get up every morning and that
That's
I did what I
very
was
good.
supposed to do. So my support system was there, and I just had prayers that went out for me. But God really
Number
kept
one.
me. Yes, God really kept me. And there were days that I could not lift my head off the pillow. But I knew that God was there. And I didn't understand why everything was happening. And I came to realize that I may never understand why. But I feel, there's a purpose behind everything. And I had a choice to make. Could I turn tragedy into triumph?
That's right.
Or could I just give up and die? And I realized that I had to be there for my children. I had 3 surviving children, Nicole, Carlton, and Melissa. And so I knew that I had to be there for them because everybody who I had lost, they had also lost.
Yes.
So I had to be there for my children.
Yes, that's excellent. See, what you did, you didn't go and sit and feel sorry for yourself or be selfish about it. Basically you had to heal, of course. So you have to be selfish in order to heal so that you can go through the pain that you went through and then, recover from it. But you picked yourself up realizing that you had your children, that you had to go and take care of and be the role model for them, or be there for them, be the strength for them, so that they can be able to heal as well.
Exactly.
So that was very, very good. That was very unselfish of you to do that, because I know that was so hard for you to do that.
It was hard, but I realized that I had to heal in order to be able to help them to heal.
Yes.
And so that was all a part of the process.
Yes. What can you express as far as like for people who don't have, I know if you don't have anybody, a support system, God is number one.
Yes.
And then you have to think about your family and everything, because a lot of people might turn to drug, alcohols, and just make it, a worse situation than,
Exactly.
than a good situation.
That's right.
So what can you advise for other people to do in order to go through the journey of healing after they've been through a traumatic experience?
Okay, well, you know what? I got to the point where I really wanted to do anything necessary to heal, and I tried to keep it at a positive and do it in a positive way. So I did have to go on medication, prescribed medication for a while. And at first I thought that showed a sign of weakness, but I realized it didn't. It gave me an opportunity to just slow my thoughts and got everything organized in my thinking again. I also, like I said, just totally put my faith and trust in God, because I did not feel that He was going to let me fall.
That's
Although
right.
I was going through a whole lot, but I knew at the end of it all that He was there with me through it all, and that He would bring me through everything.
Yes.
I also went to a facility that's called On-Site, and it's for experiential therapy.
Oh,
And it was a wonderful week, and everyone there worked on getting their life back on center again, because sometimes incidents in life will knock you off center, and you're just kind of floundering out there. But this place was really wonderful.
That's really
It
good.
gave me an opportunity to really look at things and to work on putting my life back on center again. And I speak about all of that in my book and my lessons learned.
Okay, that's very good.
Yes, so at the end of each chapter, I give the strategies of how I got to healing and then to wholeness in my life.
See, you're talking about therapy, like you said, a lot of people don't feel like they need to go through therapy, or to reach out to God. For those who don't have God in their lives, I'm not saying they're sinners or nothing. Some people go through it, where they don't feel like they need to have God, but you do have to have God, and you do have to be able to heal and have some type of therapy.
Exactly.
Like you've been through, really, been through so much that it's like people who are diagnosed with PT, post-traumatic disorder
Yes,
syndrome.
that's right.
Whether they went through war or even in prison. Some people are diagnosed with that, but you healed and you got out of that.
Yeah. And I feel there's a process that you have to go through to heal, and I don't feel that you can skip any of it. It's just like going through grief, and I talk about all the stages of grief in my book. And you really have to go through all of the stages. And while you're going through all of those stages, that's when you're going through a healing. And when you get to the end is when you can say that I've reached wholeness in my life. But you have to go through to be through. So you really have to go through the process in order to truly come out whole again.
You're correct. And there are steps, like you said, it's like a journey.
It's like a journey.
You're
That's
absolutely
correct.
correct.
That's
And can
right.
you tell people the title again and the subtitle of it?
Okay, the title of my book is Anything Can Happen, because I realize in life that anything can happen, because
That's
I did
right.
not expect everything that transpired in my life to happen.
Yes.
But the title of the book is Anything Can Happen, and the subtitle is My Journey from Despair to Healing and then to Wholeness.
That's excellent.
Because just going to healing wasn't enough. I had to reach wholeness in my life.
That's right. And it does take some time to do that, to reach wholeness. Now, as far as you are concerned, Evanya, being her cousin, you were affected as well.
Yes, I was.
Like, how did you heal, and how did this all, I know, how did this affect you? That's a dumb question, but I'm going to ask it anyway.
It affected me first from seeing her first go through all the pain and seeing my other family members go through that pain. And then after she wrote the book and she actually expressed what she went through, and actually when I read the book for the first time, it touched me in a totally different way. Like, actually, it's like you're in her head and you're there in her kitchen and you're there with her as she's going through all these things. She discusses that very well in the book. And so it gives you another understanding of exactly what she was going through, because people can always say, well, yeah, I've been there before and I know, and you really don't. And this book gives you a really deep inside thought of what really was going on with her. And there's times where I cried, and there's times when I smiled and I laughed with her. And I think everybody who reads the book will also get to experience those things with her.
That's excellent. Yeah, that's excellent. You basically painted a picture for everybody. So it's always great to have an extremely strong family support in
Yes.
whatever you do. And then if you're not able to have that strong family support, then at least believe in God and a higher power.
Yes.
And also, too, be able to give yourself some time to heal.
Right.
Now, how long did it take you to heal? Like the different steps?
Well, I found myself, it was almost 2 years after my son died. And I had done medication, I had done local therapy, I had done on-site for experiential therapy. And although I had put all of the strategies that I had learned into play, I still saw that I was struggling, and it was almost 2 years after my son had died. And what I realized that I was still holding on to unforgiveness in my heart. Like I told you previously, before my husband died, I found out that, he had been seeing someone else, and that infidelity was playing a role in our lives. And although I had lost him and I had lost my son since that time, but I was still struggling with unforgiveness in my heart. And I think that's what really was keeping me to reaching wholeness in my life. Although I had done everything that I felt was possible to do, until I truly forgave him for what he had done, I could not reach wholeness. And I remember the morning that I was able to forgive him, and I felt the shackles fall off my body. And that's when I truly reached wholeness in my life.
See, that's very good.
Yes, so my book also talks about forgiveness and how we can be a prisoner of ourselves. And the title of that chapter is Setting the Prisoner Free, realizing that the prison is me.
Exactly. See, that's excellent. I love that. You, in reference to public speaking, as well as where can they buy your book?
Okay, well, my book can be found at Amazon.com. It also can be found on my website. My website is www.anything-can-happen.com. Or you can Google my name, Michelle Aiken Wilson, and my website will come up. I'm also on Facebook and Twitter at MAWilson61. And I can be contacted for public speaking, women's conferences, church programs with the youth, because I'm also an elementary school principal. And I can be contacted through my website. And also my business phone is 843-830-3541.
That's perfect. That's excellent. And as far as you, Evanya, how can people contact you if they would like to be represented with your public relations business?
Yes, my website is www.8ampublicrelations.com, and that's the number 8, the letters ampublicrelations.com. I'm also on Facebook with 8am Public Relations, and I'm also on Twitter at 8ampr.
I definitely appreciate you, Michelle, for joining us, and you, Evanya, for joining us as well. And thank you for joining us as well as the audience, the JoAnn Pinkney Wilcox Show, and you stay blessed. Michelle's going to read part of her book to end our show.
This is part of the preference. How do you handle a crisis if you've never been through one? Do you think you've had the model life? Are your views of how life is supposed to be realistic? Have you ever lived through a horrific illness and the eventual loss of a sibling who was ultimately the best friend that a person could have? Have you had to cope with the death of a parent or both parents in the span of 1 year? Have you lost a spouse who you felt was your God-given soulmate? Not only losing that spouse once, but twice. First to infidelity, and then to death. Do you know what it's like to lose your best friend, someone whom you could truly confide in? Have you experienced the devastation of the loss of a child to the hands of a murderer? Have you had to cope with a series of 2, 3, 4, no 5 life-altering events, one right after another? If you've answered yes to any of the questions above, then this book is for you. Even if you answered no, this book is still for you, because life brings changes and new challenges every day. Within this book, Anything Can Happen, you will read about one woman's incredible journey, my journey. This journey is called life. As a child growing up, I was fortunate enough to have been raised by both parents in a loving Christian home with my 5 siblings. We were loved, nurtured, educated, disciplined, and taught the benefits of having strong work ethics, a value system that involved respect for ourselves and respect for others. For most of my adult life, this is what I grew to know and what I long accepted as normalcy. I knew of nothing else, at least not for a while anyway, not until after the first 40 years of my life. My life went from being full to almost half empty. This is how I felt after my safe little common world was rocked by one loss after another. Each time the disappointment occurred, I would pray that it would all be just a dream. The reality is, I woke up to find that the events that unfolded were very much real. They became my reality. There were times when I didn't know if I could survive, would survive, or if I even wanted to survive. I felt as if I didn't know how to survive. Yet, here I am. I've learned that living life is a process that for some can be as intense as the fiercest, highest, fastest roller coaster ride. But hold on, help is on the way. I've learned to trust like I've never had to trust before. I had a choice to make. Do I turn tragedy into triumph, or do I give up and die? I came to realize that for my life, giving up was not an option. I learned to trust God with all of my heart, all of my soul, and all of my mind. As you journey with me, I want you to learn to trust and lean on God for yourself. It's really quite simple. Just trust Him. I've learned that He will never leave us nor forsake us. There is nothing in your life that you cannot come back from. Remember, trust God. I did.
You can buy Michelle Aiken Wilson's book, Anything Can Happen, at Amazon.com. Michelle Aiken Wilson also won the Principal of the Year Award for South Carolina elementary schools, which entitled her to participate in the National Distinguished Principal Program in Washington, D.C.